Welcome to Gators Daily, presented by Fan Arch. My name is John Ingham, and we're talking Gators football every day. The draft happened. We talked about that yesterday. Feel free to go look at that one, what it means that we still had 7 players drafted, even though we only had 4 wins. I mean, more players drafted than wins. So check out yesterday's video. Today we're talking about Buster Faulner. We're going to spend the majority of this month and the rest of this month and May talking about the coaching staff. Who did Summerall hire? Who are they? What should we know about them? What should we be looking for when the season starts, etc. I've started with Troutwine. Love Troutwine. Did a piece on him last week, so go back and look at that video if you're curious about the offensive line coach. The offensive line is a weakness, but we are in good hands. But Buster Faulner, offensive coordinator, came from Georgia Tech. So should we be excited about him? Should we not? But before that, we got another recruiting commit, 4-star receiver Anthony Jennings, a speedy guy. Speedy's his nickname. They call him fast. Beat out a few great schools, SEC schools, FSU, for his signature. We're at 8 commits in the 2027 class. We'll talk more about that class as it finalizes, as it goes. That'll mainly be next year, leading into the season, talking about which freshmen we could see, which ones are going to make impacts, etc. And we'll get there this summer as well, talking about which players are going to be new, making an impact. Are there any freshmen to look at? But for now, Buster Faulner, who is he? What has he done? He's 41 years old, so he's young, coaching since 2008, played at Valdosta State, worked under Kirby Smart at Georgia, coached at Georgia Tech, obviously most recently the offensive coordinator for the last 3 years. 2022, the year before Faulner, they averaged 23 points a game. They were 13th in the ACC. In his first year, they jumped to 30.5 points per game. That's 8 or so improvement, top 30 nationally. 2024, they were top 25 in total offense, 450 yards a game, 33.5 points a game. They beat Miami, they beat UNC, they beat Georgia, or they took Georgia to OT. And then in last year and the year before, top 10 nationally in red zone touchdown percentage. So out of all the times they get in the red zone, he's really good at getting his offense to score touchdowns, and he was running the offense. That's a really important stat. Can you kill off drives? Can you finish off drives? Can we get down there and not need our kicker to be the one to make the kick, get the points? And then the Haynes King, the Texas A&M transfer that went to Georgia Tech, he developed him. He wasn't a 5-star, wasn't a big guy, so he gets a lot of praise for that. The quarterback could move around. He developed him. He sort of built the offense around him. I hope he can be creative. I hope that continues to be the case. I hope those are all things that are true. So what that says, according to most people, is that he develops quarterbacks, and obviously one of his quarterbacks, Aaron Philo, came over to Florida with him and is in that quarterback room. We'll get there a little bit later. So a lot of reasons to be excited. He's got a quarterback that he knows. He's bringing in an offense that's worked in the ACC, not against SEC defenses, but it's worked in the ACC against really good teams. Whether their defense was there or not, clearly it wasn't. But he's had a pretty good offense. This isn't the Georgia Tech triple option offense from when the guy from Navy, I think, went over and coached there for a while. They had that offense for a while. Now they don't, but the offense is similar. So let's get into that. What is his coaching philosophy? What is he like? What does he think? What does his offense do? The idea is balance. That's every coach's idea, though. So what is his personnel? He does a lot of different personnels. He'll do 4 wide receivers, 5 wide receivers. He'll also do a running back and 2 tight ends. He'll do run pass options. He'll do naked bootlegs. He'll get the quarterback moving. The quarterback has to be able to move. Has in the past. I think if a quarterback's going to sit in a pocket, I think that's going to be okay, depending on the play call. But there are going to be a lot of bootlegs. There's going to be a lot of run play options. There's going to be a lot of trickery. It doesn't look like there's a lot of pre-snap motion. Napier did that every freaking play. Pre-snap motion. I don't know if that's going to be featured a lot, but he is going to mix up the types of offensive plays that he's doing, the types of formations that he's in. Big tight end offense. He used 2 tight ends a lot at Georgia Tech, and we already have 2 tight ends in our 2027 class, so that makes sense. But using tight ends a lot. Which tight ends? We haven't gone over the tight end room. We will before the season starts, but which tight ends are going to make an impact? Which tight ends are going to play? Which tight ends are there for blocking? Which are there for receiving? If you have a blocking and a receiving tight end, you know that the blocking tight end is probably just being used as an extra lineman. So something to look out for before the play starts. So not a Lincoln Riley spread it out guy, not a Steve Spurrier crazy offense. Summerall has said being a part of the Florida Gators, being a Florida Gator football team means having an offense that's going to go for it. So they're going to be aggressive. They're going to throw the ball down the field, but it's not only that. They can run the ball. He builds it to the roster, not the scheme. I hope that continues to be the case. And then as he builds out the roster the way he wants it and it can fit his scheme better, that's great. But to start, we got to fit the roster. You can't just say, here's what we're doing no matter what. So he's mixing and matching, the old school identity, pound it, run first football, opens up with the play action pass, but modernized. So who knows? I mean, that's a lot of he's all over the board. That's a lot of we're going to make this sound like he knows what he's doing. I hope he does, but 3 years of success at Georgia Tech does mean a little bit. It does not mean a lot. If he was doing that well, he'd be looking at head coaching jobs. I hope in a couple years he's looking at head coaching jobs. That means that he's done really well. He runs a great offense. We'll see. I mean, that's what to look for. How many times does he have tight ends on the lineup? How many times is he going 4 wide receivers? Are we going quick? Can we go slow as well? And then the biggest thing I'm looking for, besides the offensive line in the first few games, the biggest thing I'm going to be looking for on the offense is how many plays are structured to get the quarterback out of the pocket. How many plays is he rolling out? How many plays is it a play action? How many plays is he just taking a snap and sitting in the pocket? I don't think that that's how his offense runs. So I'm curious to see if it's an 80-20 percentage or a 50-50 percentage, because neither of these guys are going to be better in the pocket. Both of these guys, Philo and Trammell, are going to be better if they get moving, if they have to use their athleticism, if they can lean into the play a little bit. I think both of these guys are pretty athletic quarterbacks. So get them into being an athlete, and that'll make them more successful as they start to throw the ball. I like that about it. And then another philosophy fit is why Summerall liked him. I mean, we've talked about Summerall's philosophy. Summerall wants physical football. Summerall wants fundamental football, foundational football, basic football. And he's a defensive head coach that wants complementary football. So are we going to run the ball? Are we going to be able to adjust offenses? Are we going to be able to control the clock? Are we going to be able to finish off drives? Are we going to put our defense in bad positions? Hopefully not. Those are the things. And that's what I like about this hire, is the way Summerall speaks about it. I like that about all our hires. Summerall's really excited. I trust Summerall. But it matches his offensive philosophy. Defensive philosophy. There's going to be fundamental football. Can we make the solid plays? Can we block? Can we create running room? And then can we move from there? Can we get fancy from there? So we'll see. We'll see if it's an exact fit. It does seem to be right up Summerall's alley. This isn't a guy that Summerall knew very well, seemingly never coached with. So this is a guy Summerall went out and picked. It also helps that Philo is there, the quarterback's there, and coming over too. I hope that that's not the reason they made the decision. I hope that was just a benefit, icing on top of the cake. Because if you're picking your coordinator just because he coached the quarterback that's probably transferring over or has transferred over, that's short-term decision-making. I wouldn't expect that from Summerall. So I'm hoping that's not the case. But he's got a profile to develop quarterbacks. He developed Haynes King, the Georgia Tech quarterback, the transfer from Texas A&M. They turned him into a good quarterback. They've got a great offense. So we've got 2 quarterbacks that need to be developed. All the quarterbacks coming in are going to need to be developed. It's rare you get Joe Burrow transferring in. And even he had a year at LSU where he needed to be developed. So I think that I like that about him. He's got that experience developing a quarterback, building an offensive around a quarterback, teaching his offense to quarterbacks and letting them run with it and seeing if they can be successful within it. So obviously everyone knows that Philo is the quarterback from Georgia Tech, coming with the offensive coordinator from Georgia Tech. And that means one of 2 things. Either Trammell Jones beats him out, and he beats out a quarterback that already knew the system, which means Trammell Jones is playing really good football this spring, or it's kind of disconcerting that Philo has not won the job already. And maybe he hasn't, they're just saying he hasn't, but if he knows the offense that well, if he's been around Faulner for that long and he hasn't won the job clear and outright yet, then there's something worrying about that. There's something wrong with that. If that's the safest bet to go with him because he's the quarterback that knows the system, he's the quarterback that's going to make the fewest mistakes, I can buy that. I can get behind that, but that doesn't make me excited about the quarterback position. If Trammell Jones beats out the guy that knew the offense, then at least the guy won the job rather than it being the safe pick. If you get where I'm coming from there. But again, I'm a homer. I've seen Tramel Jones play in a Gator jersey, so he's the one that I lean towards a little bit. So that's exciting. He's coached the quarterback, one of the quarterbacks that's coming in. And if not, if our backup quarterback knows the system, then our backup quarterback is another coach for the starting quarterback to lean on. So there are some positives there. There is some positives there. So is he going to be, we're going to have a quarterback that either has a head start or we're going to have a quarterback that beat out the guy with a head start. So I can make that feel positive either way. There are some things we need to be worried about. There are some concerns. He has not coached against the SEC. He has not coached against an SEC defense. He has not faced an SEC. He's faced Georgia. He's coached against Georgia, but 8-9 times a year, every year, he's coached against ACC offenses or ACC defenses. And as Florida fans and as SEC fans, we know that the ACC is not as good as the SEC, especially from teams 4 to 15, 4 to 12. So is he going to be able to hold that standard up? Is he going to be okay getting figured out? You know, you coach in week 1 and 2, and then you have 4 SEC games, week 3 through 6. Are those coaches going to watch film? Of course they are. Are those coaches going to see what your tendencies are? Of course they are. So are you going to be able to adjust? Is your offense going to be good enough? Are you going to be able to scheme and make sure plays happen around that, even though defenses have an idea of what you're doing? Can he grow into this role? I don't know. That's a concern I have. He's only been a coordinator for 3 years, and it was at an ACC school. What is he going to do at Florida? What is he going to do to Florida? And then another concern is the offensive line. I know we have Troutwine, and he's going to be great mid to long term. We've got new guys coming in. We're going to be able to develop, but can he coach around it? Can he coach with a bad offensive line? Our offensive line is not going to be great. They could be good. They could be serviceable, but can he coach around that? That means more rollouts. That means more play action. That means more misdirection to give the defensive line another thing to be confused about, the defense another thing to be confused about, changing of tempo, and having your offensive line be ready for that. How many false starts are we going to have? False starts have been horrible the last few years. I mean, our center at Kentucky had 5 false starts in one game. What are we doing? That's coaching. Is Faulner going to focus on those fundamentals first? And then the transition. You know, the players have to learn a new system. So it's going to look clunky at the beginning. It's going to look cloggy. It's going to look slow. So there are some reasons to be concerned, but there's also reasons to be excited. There's reasons that he got hired. There's trust in Sumrall. And so I'm excited. There are things to be worried about. There are things to figure out that we still have to figure out, especially who that quarterback's going to be and what the offensive line is going to be, right? But if the foundation is there, if Faulner can implement the foundation and keep it simple enough to where we can at least operate, especially the offensive line can operate, then we're going to be hard to beat. We're not going to beat ourselves. And that's more than any Florida team's been able to say for the last few years. Even those great Mullen teams and McElwain teams, we beat ourselves, even against the best teams. I mean, that SEC championship game against Alabama 6 years ago now, we scored 45 points or something, and they scored 50 plus. So we had an offense. We didn't have a defense. At McElwain, we had a defense. We didn't have an offense. We got blown out in those games, 40-15, whatever it was. So can we have that foundational football? Are we going to have a chance at the end of every game to win the game? Are we going to have a chance at halftime to win every game? Maybe not. So we'll see. We'll see what Faulner has to do. We'll see what Faulner can do. But there are reasons to be optimistic. There are reasons to be excited. We have great players on offense, though. We have a great running back, Jaden Ball. I'm talking about him a lot tomorrow. What is he about? Why do we love him so much? What makes him so great? What improvements can he make? And then also the receiving room is great. So Faulkner's got plenty to work with. If you want to watch more, if you liked it, I appreciate it. Drop a comment, drop a like. Come back tomorrow. We'll be back. Go Gators.